The mother is dead, and police say she was a victim of an unspeakable crime. Her son accused by Glendale detectives of stabbing her and beheading her.
Now, we want to warn you, these details are disturbing, as you can imagine. Fox 10's Lauren Clark joins us live now with more. So, Lauren, police say the suspect was just released from jail.
Yes, that's right, John and Christina. Police say that the family told them that the son, Alejandro Gonzalez, who's currently the suspect, was recently released from jail and living with his mother, Teresa. Court documents say that the family said Gonzalez had a mental condition and that they believed he was capable of doing this.
We're going to be talking about a very heinous crime that took place over the weekend that left one of the Valley's families in very desperate and basically terrified shape.
On Friday afternoon, Glendale police says this home was the scene of an unspeakable murder. 49-year-old Teresa de Jesus Cruz Rubio, a beloved teacher at Southwest Key Programs, was found dead. Cop cars and crime scene tape covered the street, alarming neighbors like Dora.
About 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, officers just started showing up, and the whole street was closed off.
Police say Teresa's sister was the last to talk to her late that afternoon. She was calling her to confirm she'd be at a family gathering, which was supposed to be Teresa's surprise birthday party. But when she didn't show, family became worried. They finally got inside her locked home near 43rd Avenue and Bethany Home Road with the help of a locksmith around 11 p.m. That's when they made the gruesome discovery.
The 911 caller stated that a family member was inside of the house and was deceased, and that the victim's head had been cut off.
Brian Hoskin with Glendale PD says officers found the victim under a blanket with multiple stab wounds. Officers noticed the shower was still running and a bloody kitchen knife was in the sink. Teresa's sister told officers her burgundy GMC Yukon she gave Teresa to use was missing. Fox 10 obtained this video of the SUV captured by a neighbor's Ring video leaving the home in the late afternoon. Around 3 a.m., police located the car with Teresa's 25-year-old son, Alejandro Gonzalez. Police say he had injuries on his hands and arms and blood on his clothes. Once in custody, court documents say Gonzalez admitted he stabbed his mother, but told officers he did it after another unknown suspect he was doing drugs with stabbed her first.
Alejandro claimed there was another suspect involved, but no evidence pointed to this as the detectives looked through the scene and all the evidence that they collected.
He's currently booked on first-degree premeditated murder and theft. A judge set bond at $1 million, cash only.
It's horrific to the family who had to endure this. It's horrific to the officers who had to go and see this.
Yeah, and Glendale PD says that there are resources available for both the family and officers who arrived on scene to process this horrific sight. Reporting live here in Glendale, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
Lauren, thank you.
Well, we have new details this afternoon about a gruesome murder in Prince George's County. A woman allegedly killed and dismembered by her daughter and granddaughter. It's a case that is stopping everyone in their tracks, and as Lex Juarez explains, it's posing a challenge for investigators, too.
Well, the details get more and more disturbing. Police believe that the murder happened on May 23rd, that following weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Neighbors tell me that they saw Craig and Hardy prepping this grill with charcoal and lighter fluid. Those neighbors were headed out of town for the holiday weekend and assumed the family was having a cookout. According to court documents obtained by WTOP, it was 71-year-old Margaret Craig's dismembered body that was put on the grill that day. Her 44-year-old daughter Candace Craig and 19-year-old granddaughter Celia Hardy were trying to hide her murder. Investigators believe Candace Craig killed Margaret Craig by herself and that Hardy later joined her in dismembering Craig at her home in Landover and storing the decomposing remains in the basement. Police visited the home last Friday for a welfare check on Craig nearly 2 weeks after the alleged murder. When her daughter Candace let them in, they quickly smelled and found the remains in the basement. This horrific attempt at hiding the remains poses a challenge for the medical examiner, who has yet to confirm the cause of death or that the remains are Margaret Craig.
But in this case, which is unlike any case I have ever seen or experienced here in the county, I mean, to say it's disturbing is an understatement. It's horrifying.
Well, Well, Candace, Craig is charged with first-degree murder. Her daughter, Salia Hardy, is facing an accessory charge for assisting in the dismemberment. Well, both Craig and Hardy are being held without bond. The next court date set for the preliminary hearing is July 3rd. In Landover, Lex Juarez, DC News.
More about 4 people, including 2 children, who police say were shot and killed yesterday in Duluth. Police discovered their bodies in 2 different homes just a mile apart after doing a welfare check when one of the victims didn't show up for work. Jennifer Hoff's here now with more on who police say the shooter is. Jennifer, this is just an awful case.
It's pretty terrible, Lauren. Police say 46-year-old Anthony Nephew shot and killed his former partner and their teenage son, and also killed his wife and their 7-year-old son, and then himself. Police vehicles lining Duluth streets yesterday point to the tragedy that took place there. The city's police chief addressing it today.
I wish we were having a conversation under better circumstances.
Chief Mike Sonoa says Anthony Nephew killed his ex-wife, Erin Abramson, and their 15-year-old son inside a home. He's then accused of killing his current wife, their 7-year-old son, and himself at another home a few minutes away. Officers first responding after Abramson didn't show up for work at the Environmental Services Division for the nearby city of Superior.
She dedicated her life and her work to protecting public health in Superior and the North Woods of Wisconsin, and to protecting the health of Lake Superior. She's going to be very dearly missed for her work and her personality.
When asked about a motive, the chief would only say Nephew had a pattern of mental health issues, who's quoted in a local newspaper just 3 years ago, calling for better mental health care after Nephew said he had a breakdown, calling that the best end result, when it can also lead to homicide and suicide.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family, friends, and loved ones of the 4 victims in this tragic incident, as this is a senseless and tragic event.
And this tragedy happening just a little over 2 years after what was called Duluth's worst killing in 30 years, when a man killed his aunt, uncle, and their 2 kids before taking his own life. Records show neither him or Nephew in this case had a criminal history, but clearly they were struggling. So if you know somebody who needs any kind of help, we have posted several resources at care11.com. Lauren?
Jennifer, thank you.
Sometimes you may not want your kids, but is it right to just burn them alive and kill them? This mother in Orlando set her kids on fire. This is video of her purchasing gas in a water jug after her man found out that he wasn't the father. No way. As she was hoping to get child support from the father, but since the father isn't the father because of a DNA test says negative, this mom didn't care. This mom didn't want to go through that. She thought she could get that bag, but that wasn't the case. So she killed them. Well, after an investigation, the Orange County Sheriff's Office arrived to the home and investigated. Crime scene investigators and homicide detectives concluded that Esther Thielus is responsible. They will charge her with first-degree murder for one of her children getting killed and injuring the other after this fire. On August 26, this is video of Esther Thielus, 26, age 26. She is the mother who intentionally set fire to her kids earlier August. This is video. The video of her entering a 7-Eleven, buying gasoline in a water jug. So a customer saw this and thought to himself, what are you doing? So they helped to get her the right can, not knowing the horror that was soon to take place. These are just people innocently trying to help her. So she ends up buying a gallon or probably more containers of gas, and then she went to this address, the home you see here in Orlando, and set fire to herself and her 2 kids. However, only the infant died and the other kid survived, and the mother survived as well, still at the hospital recovering. Now, why the hell did she do it? She did it because apparently the man she was with, she calls him to say, hey, these are your kids. Well, the man didn't believe it, and the mom as well, the mom of her man. So the mom said, son, you better take a DNA test to really see if these are your kids. After finding out that he is not the father, he told her this. She got angry and very embarrassed, and because she felt humiliated by the truth because she could not get that child support, she decided to burn the kids alive and herself and run to Fort Lauderdale after her getting humiliated, knowing that she can't get that bag in child support free money, and tried to escape to Fort Lauderdale, where she was captured, and now she still remains at the hospital recovering. Well, after an investigation, the Orange County Sheriff's Office arrived to the home and investigated. Crime scene investigators and homicide detectives concluded that Esther Thielus is responsible. They will charge her with first-degree murder for one of her children getting killed and injuring the other after this fire. A weird and crazy world where moms are turning on their kids. Is this the end of the world? It may just be. Be safe, be careful. Breaking news reporter in Orlando, South Florida.
Breaking news coming out of Seattle at this hour, a stabbing spree. At least 5 stabbed in Seattle late today. 10 people stabbed in the same area over the last day and a half. Authorities want to know if this is all related. They believe most of these attacks are. Authorities say those 5 people stabbed late this afternoon in the Chinatown area of Seattle. Again, at this point, they believe a total of 10 people stabbed in multiple locations in the same neighborhood over the last 2 days. Tonight, we have just learned a suspect is in custody. Here's our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, with us live tonight. Pierre, what have you learned?
Well, David, it was a nightmare scenario playing out over a series of hours with an assailant attacking unsuspecting victims, sending some to the emergency room. Tonight, scenes of chaos on the streets of Seattle. Officers racing to treat victims of a stabbing spree.
This is a horrific tragedy, a mass casualty event.
At least 10 people attacked in the Chinatown neighborhood over 38 hours. 5 people stabbed just today. Police are investigating if one of the stabbings involving a robbery is also related.
The injuries to those victims range from a minor cut to severe stab wounds.
Witnesses identifying a suspect in a series of what appear to be random attacks. That person now in custody. 4 of the stabbing victims today were hospitalized, and tonight the investigation is just getting started. David?
Pierre Thomas with the breaking news, the stabbing spree in Seattle tonight. Pierre, thank you.